Hi, in this lecture and the next lecture, I would like to talk about the basics of warehousing and this warehouse and distribution science. So so in the first part, I would like to talk about the types, the importance of warehousing and the types of warehouses according to two different criteria. And then I'm gonna end with introducing the main warehouse operations. And in the next part, in part two, I'm going to talk about the details of the warehouse operations. Okay. So let's start with discussing the difference between warehouse and distribution center. Warehouses are usually accounted as a storage area where we keep our products or SKUs, our goods, in a long period of time. However, distribution centers are usually described as a transshipment node in a supply chain network where we receive goods from suppliers and immediately process them, and then, if it is possible, ships them as soon as possible, ships them away in a short amount of time. Okay, so if we are talking about storage area in manufacturing plants, next to manufacturing plants, or their storage area to keep their products until they receive customer orders, we talk about warehouses. If we talk about a storage area or a transshipment node of a retailer store in a supply chain network, okay, so suppose that they import goods from overseas countries and put them in a distribution center, consolidate them, sort them, and then ship to their customers, then we actually talk about distribution center. But from now on, okay, in my lecture, I'm not going to differentiate these two terms. I'm going to suppose that warehouse and distribution centers have the same goals, same objectives, perform the same type of operations. So these two different terms are going to have the same meaning from now on. But as I said before, in some literature, they have different meanings. So let's take a look at the context of warehousing in a typical supply chain network. We know that it's a supply chain network consists of many players, starting from the source till the end customer, right? We have manufacturing plant, assembly plant, distribution centers, or distributors, wholesalers, retailers, any kind of facilities that helps to flow of the goods till the point where it is demanded. Okay, so if I pose a question that which one is higher, which number is higher, either the number of manufacturing plant or the number of storage area or warehouses or something like that, number of storage area or warehouses. So which one is bigger? Number of warehouses in a typical supply chain network is higher than number of manufacturing plants, or vice versa. So you can easily see in this picture that we can answer this question taking a look at the picture like this. Okay, as we see that every manufacturing plant has a storage area, either an input storage area or finished goods storage area. It's for sure. Okay, it is one storage area. They may even have a separate warehouse or distribution center. It's for sure. Okay, and additionally, different from the manufacturing plants or different from the companies, there might also be third-party logistics center, third-party distribution centers. Additionally, retailers might also be accounted as a storage area, small storage area where they immediately serve to the end customer. So typically, if we account all these storage spaces, all these storage places as a warehouse in the supply chain, in a supply chain network, we can answer the first the question I mentioned before, that the number of storage area or the number of warehouses in the supply chain network is always greater than the number of manufacturing or production plants. Hence, we can see, so just having this answer that we can see the importance of warehouses in a supply chain network. That's why we usually call that warehouses play very critical role of moving goods throughout the supply chain network. And warehouses are kind of backbone, the backbone of a supply chain system. So why they are important? They are important because they want to serve the customers. They want to provide the required goods to the customers in a short amount of time. If they are applying just-in-time production system, those goods should be kept in somewhere. Otherwise, especially nowadays, we are seeing that after the COVID-19 pandemic appeared, that many of the global supply chain networks of companies failed. Why? Because many of the goods were provided from China, and when they shut down their manufacturing plants, many of the European companies couldn't get their goods, couldn't get their work in process items or finished goods or raw materials. So unfortunately, if they didn't have any enough stock on their hand, after some point of time, they couldn't feed their manufacturing plant. So suppose that if they had implement just-in-time philosophy, they would have to stop their production in a short period of time, right? And also to be able to achieve just-in-time, we have to send frequent shipments, and that's why warehouse operations play a critical role in warehouses. And nowadays, we are also talking about last mile deliveries. So many of the retail stores are trying to get closer to their customers to respond their customers' order quickly, either in the same day or next day delivery, right? So we also see the importance of warehouse operations to be able to achieve that speed. Some warehouses or distribution centers also provide value-added services to their customers, such as kitting, special packaging, labeling, and so on. So instead of, let me give an example. Suppose that a manufacturer sell goods to many countries in the world, okay, like to Europe, to Asia, to United States, or to Africa. And every country may have different standardization, different requirements for labeling, packaging, or labeling or packaging, or some other issues. So instead of dealing with all these types of requirements, they can let the third-party logistics center or third-party warehouse do that. So a warehouse can say that, hey, don't worry about those labeling, those packaging, just give me your products, I can handle it. So just let me know where you are going to ship it, and I can do it for you. This is a value-added service for manufacturers, right? And warehouses are also important because we can keep many different types of SKUs and make them available to our customers when they need, right? So when I say warehouse, you can also understand that I'm also talking about distribution center. So warehouse operations are important from this perspective. And why we have warehouses, why warehousing, or where we should locate warehouse? Typically, to answer this question, we need to understand why we keep inventory, why we keep stocks. There are many different there are many reasons why we keep inventory, but simply I can say that because of the uncertainty in lead time, from our suppliers, supplying lead time, because of uncertainties in manufacturing, because of uncertainties in demand, because of discounts, because of many other reasons. Okay, but let me just discuss three of them, and then regarding to these three reasons, I will just give an insight about where we locate warehouse. Okay, the first one is why we have warehouses is to hold inventory that is going to be used to balance and buffer between the variation between the production schedule and demand. Okay, so let's say that this is uncertainties. Okay, uncertainties in lead time between the production schedules and demand. So as a manufacturer, we demand goods, we need work in process, we need raw material to feed my manufacturing processes, manufacturing operations, to be able to make a finished goods, right? So therefore, if there is an uncertainty in the lead time, if there is uncertainty in the in my demand, then I may prefer to have a closer warehouse to the manufacturing plant. And the second reason might be consolidating products from various points of manufacture within a single firm or from several firms for combined shipment to customers. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, I receive goods from different suppliers and then ship to my customers. Then I definitely prefer to have a warehouse or a distribution center in between my suppliers and customers to consolidate goods from suppliers and ship them to my customers after I consolidate them. Okay, I'm going to give an example in the next slide for this phenomenon. Okay, so in this one, we prefer to locate a warehouse in between my suppliers and customers. And the last one is to reduce transportation distances, or to increase your responsiveness to your customer orders. Okay, in this phenomenon, we prefer to locate our warehouses closer to the point of sale or end customers. So as soon as they give an order, we can deliver them in short amount of time to increase our responsiveness. Okay, so as I said before, many of the distribution centers are located in between their suppliers and customers. Let's take a look at this example. This is a traditional way of shipping goods from suppliers to the customers. Okay, so suppose that there are M suppliers and N customers. In this typical network, there are M times N shipments, and many of the shipments even might be less than truckload. However, if we open a distribution center in between them and then receive goods from suppliers to distribution centers, instead of shipping goods from every supplier to every customers in a less than truckload, then we can tell our suppliers that ship all of your goods to my distribution center, and then they can utilize economies of scale in transportation by sending truckloads. After I consolidate goods from my suppliers, then I can ship truckload to my customers, right? So in this network, there will be M plus N shipments in total. Even we got the benefit of economies of scale, and we can have a chance to reduce transportation costs. This is the reason why we would like to have a distribution center or a warehouse in between suppliers and customers. Typical missions of a warehouse could be accounted that improving the order picking operation. Order picking operation is very critical operation in warehouses. In some studies, it has been shown that order picking operation takes almost 50% of the operating cost in especially labor-intensive warehouses. So one of the mission of a warehouse is to improve its order picking operations. And if they can achieve it, the second mission could be said that it aims to utilize cross-docking operation. What is cross-docking operation? I mean, let me tell you this, okay? If they can achieve that, a warehouse manager wouldn't want to put goods away to storage locations. They prefer to send them or ship them as soon as they receive goods, because putting away, after receiving a good, putting away goods to storage location causes cost of storage, cost of labor, cost of energy, cost of material handling, okay? So why they prefer to keep in a storage area if they can ship them away as soon as possible, right? So that's the idea behind of cross-docking. If they can manage receiving and shipping operation, if they can manage the synchronization of receiving and shipping operations, they, without putting away the goods to the storage area, they receive them, consolidate them or sort them, after sorting, consolidate them and ship them away to their customer without putting away. So that is how a warehouse manager can utilize cross-docking operation. And they always would like to increase, of course, productivity in terms of labor peak hour, or productivity or utilization of equipment, or space utilization of the storage area. Okay? And the last one might be to increase value-added services to their customers if it is a third-party warehouse. Let's talk about types of warehouses. According to the types of goods, we can differentiate warehouses typically into 5 categories. The first one might be for retail warehouses. Retail warehouses keep products that are going to be sent to retail stores. Okay, they could be apparels, they could be perishable goods. Most of the goods are, or most of the goods have small units. Okay, service parts warehouses hold spare parts for expensive capital equipment such as automobile or trucks or cranes for that kind of equipment. And they are expensive. These spare parts are usually expensive, and the demand to spare parts are not very frequent. Typically could be said that the demand is not as frequent as the demand to goods in retail warehouse. Okay, so we can easily say that spare parts can stay in a warehouse longer period of time than goods in a retail warehouse. Okay, the turnover rate is usually slow in service part warehouses. Catalog fulfillment or e-fulfillment or e-commerce warehouses. The numbers of this type of warehouses have been rising in the last 10 years due to the increase in e-commerce activities. There are even some giants in the world. They have e-fulfillment center, such as Amazon, Alibaba, or JD.com in China. Okay, they usually receive small orders from individuals, from the end customers through different channels, and then they are usually required to ship them in a short period of time. Okay? They are even nowadays competing with speed, same day delivery, next day delivery, even in 3-hour delivery in some large cities. And third-party logistics centers or third-party warehouses are the warehouses which a company might outsource its warehousing operations. So a manufacturer say that, hey, I don't want to have warehouse or storage area anymore. I want you to keep my goods in your area, so I'm gonna get that service from you, and then a third-party logistics provider provides any kind of warehousing, any kind of warehousing to its customers. And the last one is import warehouses are usually located closer to the ports. Okay, in Turkish we say entrepot, and they have some special conditions I'm gonna be talking about in next slides. Okay, in the next one. We can also categorize warehouses according to their ownership, okay, such as private, public, or government or cooperation warehouses. Private warehouses are the warehouses owned by a company itself. Okay, they are usually located near the company. And they are designed according to the nature of products produced in that company or specifically for that company. Public warehouses, we are familiar with this term, right? So if we need a place to rent it and put our goods within it, it could be a sofa, it could be a couch, it could be a chair, tables, it could be any kind of goods. We can go ahead and visit public warehouses and rent that place for some period of time and keep our goods in there, right? So anyone can use it as long as they pay the rent. Anyone can own it, but in some countries it requires a licensing. Okay, even there are many public warehouses used by manufacturers, exporters, importers, government agencies, wholesalers, even the individuals like me. Okay, government warehouses owned, managed, and controlled by the government. Okay, to store their own goods. And cooperative warehouses are managed by corporations. Okay, cooperative societies. Okay, let's talk about import warehouse or bonded warehouses. As I said before, we call it in Turkish entrepot. Okay, bonded warehouses are special places where we put dutiable goods. Okay, in a secured area, in a secure building. It could be a separate facility, it could be a separate warehouse, or it could be an area within an existing warehouse. Okay, so we can keep these goods as soon as we import them until our liability is canceled. Okay, and these type of warehouses are either managed by the government, the state, or private enterprises if they have the license. Okay, so as I just said that we can keep our goods in this type of warehouses after we import the goods and until the liability is canceled. So let's talk about when the liability is canceled. The liability is canceled if we export those goods without taking them into the country, okay, or deemed exported. The second one is that we can withdraw these goods to a vessel or aircraft for international traffic. Okay? As soon as we put them in a track for international traffic, our liability is also cancelled. Or we can pay the duty, and withdraw that good for our domestic consumption, right? And the last one, if the goods are not passed or not approved by the customs clerk or customs officers, or if we decided not to have those goods for domestic consumption, or if we couldn't pay the duty and the government decided to destroy it, okay? Either the government or we decide to destroy it, they could be destroyed. However, that destroying those goods should be supervised by a customs officer, okay? So those should be destroyed under customs supervision. Then our liability could be cancelled. Okay, so let's take a look at the warehouse operations in a typical warehouse. We usually categorize warehouse operations into two categories as inbound operations and outbound operations. There are three main stages in inbound operations. These are unloading and staging, inspecting, and put away operation. Okay. This is sometimes called receiving function. And in the outbound operations, we also have three stages, such as order picking, packing, and loading them. So as you see that, the first operation, or the first main operation, let's be called the receiving operation, is triggered by the notification of the truck. As soon as the truck arrives to a warehouse, or as soon as the notification of arrival of a truck arrives to a warehouse, we immediately organize our workers, equipment, and we even schedule that truck. After scheduling, assign a truck to the appropriate dock. When the truck arrives to a dock, the pre-assigned team unload that truck. After unloading, we put goods onto the floor. It's called staging. After the staging, an inspector inspects documents and the goods, and if he approves, okay, then we can put them away. For put away operation, we determine the locations where they are going to be located. Okay. According to our storage policies, we can determine, or our workers can determine by themselves, where to put goods away. After we put them away in a storage location, and this could be rack, this could be floor, okay? Goods are going to start to wait. Wait for what? Wait for customer order. And the outbound operations are actually triggered by the customer order. When we receive a customer order, we can process that order and then generate an internal picking order, okay? But we give up that picking order, pick list, we call it pick list, okay, to the worker, and worker or automated equipment start to pick the order. They visit storage locations, traveling all around the warehouse or in their zone, pick the required goods, put them into their basket or in their pallet, and then bring them into the packing area. We prepare pack, we pack them according to the customer order and make them ready for shipping. We may also sort them as soon as we pick them. Okay, sorting operation might also occur in some picking systems. Sorting and consolidating before packing operation. When the customer order is ready, we call the truck, and truck arrives to the shipping dock, and then we can let our workers to load the orders to the truck. And when the orders are ready for shipping, or when the truck is loaded, then it can leave from our warehouse to deliver goods to the customer. And as I said before, according to some references, this order picking operation is very critical especially for labor-intensive warehouses. Even automated warehouses, in terms of cost, it takes about 50 to 55% of operation costs in a warehouse. In warehouses, goods flow in different units. They might even flow as in pallets, as in pallet loads. So suppose that a warehouse could receive pallet load SKUs and put them away in pallets, and then they receive orders in pallet, ships them in pallets. So we call this type of warehouse pallet in, pallet out warehouses. Okay? And in this pallet, each level is called a tier. Okay? In each tier, we have carton. In each carton, we have packs, unit packs, okay, one pack, each pack, and in each pack we have individual pieces. Okay? So as in this example, we actually locate a pallet load SKU in a storage location, and then we start to pick cases or cartons, okay? Or sometimes, as you see that there are some open cartons, we may allow our order pickers, our workers, to pick unit packs from the cases. So we should definitely consider how goods flow in a warehouse before we design our storage location, storage area, or warehouse operation, or warehouse, or the warehouse itself. So for this lecture, I'm gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna stop right here and say that in the next lecture, I'll be talking about how goods flow throughout the different places, different areas in a warehouse. Okay, take care, have a nice day.